man, folks, we are getting people from all walks of life speaking out about this trade. No, we're not talking about the Vancouver Canucks JT Miller trade. We are talking about the Vancouver Canucks Pettersson trade. No, not Elias. Marcus. Yeah, there's room for this to get a little bit confusing over the next little while here, but I wanted to go over some comments made by one very particular NHL superstar. You might recognize him, as of late, for being the guy who says, "Four nations, facing off." Yeah, we're talking about Sidney Crosby, folks, because earlier today we had ourselves Rick Tocchet ahead of the Vancouver Canucks game against Detroit, talking about some word he received from Sid the Kid. As always, this show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there and check out the first link in the description if you want to get some free VPN months, save some money, and help out the channel in the process. But here's the tweet that we're referring to that goes over what we need to know. Rick Tocchet says he got a text message from Sidney Crosby saying that the Canucks got good players and teammates in picking up Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. Crosby specifically praised Marcus Pettersson's leadership. And the funny part is, you're seeing a lot of Canucks fans replying to this tweet, "Oh my god, Sidney Crosby to Vancouver! Hell yeah, Sidney Crosby is next! Yeah, we're gonna get Sidney Crosby!" No, it's not gonna happen, folks. Like, Crosby's not becoming a Canuck, let's be real here. But it is interesting to note that he specifically reached out to Tocchet and said, "Hey, these two guys that you got are pretty good guys." And as we had spoken about in yesterday's video, there have been a lot of folks that I've been seeing getting up in arms and getting upset with the trade itself. Oh, the Canucks gave up a first-round pick that could become a 2026 top pick. It could be Gavin McKenna, could be Connor Bedard's cousin, and the Canucks gave up that opportunity to get Marcus Pettersson, who is a rental, and Drew O'Connor is also a rental, and we had spoken about yesterday how, at least in my opinion, this trade is a pretty good one for the Vancouver Canucks because Marcus Pettersson legitimately makes the team better. He is not just some extra fourth defenseman or a guy who's a Carson Soucy level guy. He's better than that. He's already, I'd say, the third best defenseman on the team. And playing with Filip Hronek on the second pairing, it could really bolster up what this team is capable of. And it was written about by Thomas Drance in The Athletic earlier yesterday as well, that he believes that the Canucks do want to re-sign both Pettersson and O'Connor, which is a good sign because obviously you don't want to trade away the assets that you did, the first-round pick for these guys, for only one season's worth of time, not even one season, half a season's worth of time of them on your roster. You don't necessarily want to do an Elias Lindholm 2.0, but if you re-sign these guys, you keep them around, Marcus Pettersson is able to bring his defensive depth and acumen for the next few years. Drew O'Connor is able to provide a bottom six stabilizing force with speed, with youth, and with tenacity for the next few years too. Then I'd say this is a really, really good trade for Vancouver. It's just a lot of people are still up in arms about that first-round pick. Like, guys, the Canucks are not rebuilding anymore. They're not in 2018, 2019 mode anymore. First-round picks, yes, they are valuable, but only to an extent, not for what this team is trying to build in the now. Yes, Gavin McKenna would be great, but what are the odds that, firstly, the Rangers suck so bad that they slip into the top 13 of the NHL draft in 24-25, and then that continues, and they continue being bad in 25-26, so much to the point that they get the first overall pick? Like, I get it, it's not even just about McKenna, it's about the entire 2026 draft class being great, but do the Canucks have it in them to wait until the 2026 NHL Entry Draft and use what it is that they're going to get in that draft in 2026, 2027? It's very unlikely. So for this timeline, the Canucks are always going to need to trade away that first-round pick to get a defenseman. They got a defenseman, he's a good defenseman, and Sidney Crosby is going out there and saying, yeah, this is a good guy. And he also praised Pettersson's leadership, which I think is a super underrated part about this entire conversation with the Canucks. Now, I wanted to bring this back over to the other Pettersson, Elias Pettersson, because we've known for a few months now, ever since Bruce Boudreau made those comments on, I think it was TSN Overdrive, that Elias Pettersson does not get going the same way that you get a JT Miller going. Bruce said that he would coach these guys and motivate these guys differently. For JT Miller, it's, okay, JT, you're not going to match up against Connor McDavid. Sorry. You just can't. You're not good enough. And then Miller will bite back saying, oh, really? You don't think I'm good enough? Okay, well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do something to Connor McDavid. Like, then he does that. He proves you wrong. Elias Pettersson is not that kind of a guy. Pettersson, you can't tell him, oh, you can't match up against McDavid, you're not good enough. You can't egg him on like that. You have to say, okay, Pettersson, you're getting McDavid because you're good enough to do it, and we believe in you. Totally different style. You have to be positively affirming to Elias Pettersson. You can't give backhanded statements that underlyingly motivate the guys to do better like you can with JT. Marcus Pettersson, on the other hand, is like, at least based off of the videos that we have seen, he's a total positive affirmation kind of guy. There was a video going around on Twitter of Marcus Pettersson mic'd up in a game with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And in the video, you can see the guys bringing up his teammates, he's complimenting guys, he's motivating guys, he's a happy guy, he's a Swedish guy, and he's a pretty good player too. This is the kind of lockership, leader room personality that I think would really benefit Elias Pettersson. Not to mention the fact that he's a Swedish guy, not to mention the fact that he's a Pettersson, not to mention the fact that he's actually good, that he can be one of the better players on this team, and especially one of the top guys on the blue line. This is a super underrated pickup, and Sidney Crosby went out there and spoke about the leadership that Marcus Pettersson has. Yeah, no, I definitely understand that, especially from Crosby. Like, it's Crosby. You talk about leaders in the NHL, he has been the face of being a captain in the NHL for decades. That guy is praising Marcus Pettersson's leadership. I'm not saying that JT Miller wasn't a leader necessarily with the Canucks, like we acknowledge the passion and the drive that he has, but as Patrick Allvin said yesterday, hey yeah, JT's a super competitive guy, but there's a fine line that he walks, and that I think is not surprising. So to see this development come out where now you got rid of Miller, you traded for Philip Cheadle, really fast, lots of skill. If he's healthy, he's a very effective player. You also traded the first-round pick you got in that trade for Drew O'Connor, and you got yourselves that Marcus Pettersson. Sure, you had to give up some other players in the trade as well, but I don't think anybody's going to be missing Danton Heinen, Vinny Desharnais, or Eric Brannstrom all too much either. Plus, with the salary that's going back, I mean, it makes sense for Vancouver to have built their team in this way. Sure, the top-end capacity of the offense is not as strong as it was a few days ago before the Miller trade, but everywhere else, I'd say, depth-wise, defensive-wise, and especially locker room-wise, things have gotten better. Or at least, it looks like they have. We'll see what happens when the Canucks play off against the Red Wings later today. But I wanted to make a video about Sidney Crosby speaking out about Marcus Pettersson, giving props to Vancouver for acquiring this dude. It also speaks volumes that Crosby is saying good things about Drew O'Connor. So with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with this thought process here? Do you think that Marcus Pettersson is the right guy for Vancouver to have acquired and to have put on their blue line? Is he the right guy to have been placed in this room? Do you agree with the idea that Marcus Pettersson is the right kind of player that Elias Pettersson needs? He's happy, he's upbeat, he's motivating. They were joking around on Sportsnet 650 yesterday that, hey, Elias is not like that. Elias Pettersson smiling, going out there and cracking jokes? We haven't seen that since his rookie Alien Petey days. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Marcus Pettersson and Sidney Crosby's comments about the acquisition for Vancouver. The show is brought to you by Express. Go out there, check the first link in the description to get some free months on your VPN, save some money, and support the channel all in the process. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.